I think it's pretty safe to say that by far one of the most mysterious aspects of the Star Wars sequel trilogy has all to do with Rey's lineage and her identity and exactly who she really is and where she comes from in these movies. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. So as we get closer and closer to the release of this film, the hype is building up for Episode 9. A lot of people are very curious about Rey, her identity, and exactly how it's going to be executed on the big screen in this film. We do know that George Lucas was also involved in a lot of scenes for this movie in order to truly make The Rise of Skywalker feel like an authentic Star Wars movie and as well as a real ending to the entire Star Wars franchise based within the Skywalker saga. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the big plans by Disney, Lucasfilm, J.J. Abrams, and even George Lucas, this is where things begin to get very intense for the characters of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Rey, and many hints and or indicators of Rey being related to Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, specifically, what's really intriguing about all of this is that it's described that one of the big plans by Disney and Lucasfilm during the rewrites of the film for the months of November and December of 2018 was to change the character of Rey and how she would be used in the film. It's described that one of the big changes by George Lucas was to add a strange and unusual connection that Rey will have to Obi-Wan Kenobi in the movie, and that it was George who also proposed to use many parallels between both Kenobi and Rey for the story that would connect to one of the big revelations in the third act of the film. Additionally, it said that some of the lightsaber moves that Rey performs in the movie during her battle against Kylo Ren at the end of the film is that those moves will use many of the same moves that Kenobi used in Revenge of the Sith. It said that that was intentional by George Lucas for a powerful reason in the third act. Additionally, it's described that Rey's character during the rewrites were also based on certain stories of Kenobi that were denied and not approved by Lucas at the time in the late 1990s that are applied to Rey as a character in this film. Additionally, it said that there is going to be a big revelation between Kenobi and Rey during the third act of Episode 9 of the movie that will explain Kenobi's dialogue in The Force Awakens. So let's go over a couple of parts about this because these are big hints and or indicators of Rey, of course, being related to Obi-Wan Kenobi in some way, shape, or form. Now, we do know that Rey's parentage is, of course, going to be a big focus in this film, and that Daisy Ridley even hinted that it really is going to be quite a surprise the other day. Now, what I like about this, though, in particular, is that George Lucas was involved in this strange connection between both Rey and Kenobi that is going to be explored from start to finish of this movie, as well as one of the big revelations within the third act of Episode 9 is going to have to do with both Kenobi and Rey. And that's also going to explain Kenobi's dialogue in The Force Awakens. But not only that, there are going to be a lot of parallels that will be used between both Kenobi and Rey in Episode 9, as well as many of the lightsaber moves that she will be using against Kylo Ren are going to be moves that Kenobi used in Revenge of the Sith. So, like I've always said before in the past, we do know that George Lucas was also a big player in really restructuring Rey's lineage and her identity during the rewrites of Episode 9. He really was. You know, he had a great hand in all of that during the months of November and December of 2018 before they actually got toward the end of principal photography. Now, what do I make about all this? Now, we do know that there are two sides of the Star Wars fans here. One side says that it just does not make any sense for Rey to be related to Kenobi and that it would be a terrible decision, it just would not fit and would seem really silly. One side of the Star Wars fans would say that, the other side think it's brilliant, and in my point of view, I think I'm somewhere in between. I really do believe I'm in the middle here, though I do believe that Rey being related to Kenobi would be by far one of the most iconic and, I guess you could say, poetic ways of really bringing back Anakin and Kenobi in a spiritual way, where you have both, you know, Kylo Ren and Rey fighting each other. It's almost like, you know, we have the relatives of Anakin and Kenobi fighting each other. It just makes a lot of sense. So you can really see how it would really be very poetic and why George Lucas would want to actually insert that into Episode 9. Now, the other thing is this, the fact that Rey is going to to have a lot of lightsaber moves that are going to be the same exact moves that Kenobi used in Episode 3 is another telltale sign there. And also the fact that George Lucas is actually using a lot of the abandoned and denied stories for Star Wars Legends back in the 1990s surrounding Kenobi, and how he used a lot of that as inspiration for Rey's story in Episode 9 also tells a lot. The fact that they are going to have a big revelation between both Kenobi and Rey within the third act of the film also is yet another big sign here. So I would really love to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, between both Rey and Kenobi and exactly what's really going on here. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon we hear them moans again.